Om. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमू रामाय तस्मै नमः रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम् रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर समस्तजनकल्याणी निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् Hari Om. In the last class we had seen an introduction to this text, Drugdrishya Viveka. We said that this text systematically builds our thought process. Some statements of Vedanta that we might have heard, this text will help us own up those statements. For example, you must have heard this statement, I am the witness of this mind. I am Sakshi. But how? So once this logic gets very nicely established, I can take support of that logic, and that clarity of understanding will protect me against all erroneous notions that I might have about myself. That is the beauty of this text. It will also help us a lot in meditation. Because when we sit down for meditation, we should have done Shravanam, we should have understood what is the nature of myself as Atman, and also have done sufficient thinking to know why that statement is true. That is the second step, Mananam. Then the process is, a natural progression, which is into Nididhyasanam, meditation. Then we saw that there are several pursuits that we have in life. And there can always be debates over which pursuit is better over the other. Okay, either in terms of professions that we pursue, in terms of interests that we have, all of them are pursuits. But there can be debate over which one is good, which one is the one that I really want to do, and so on. But there is one pursuit which is undebated, unquestioned, and that is the pursuit for happiness. Then we saw what are the familiar sources of happiness, of being happy in all our common understanding. So first one was Manorajya. When I just imagine, fancifully think about certain things, or even if I think about some pleasure that I want to get, it gives some happiness. So that was the first one, Manorajya. Second was Bhoga. When I actually go and enjoy that thing, it gives me happiness, some object. Third was Abhimana. After I have had it, I can derive joy with the fact that I have it now. Okay, I might not physically be holding on to that object, but I can derive joy from this understanding that I have this object with me, Abhimana. And last was Abhyasa. Means if I am able to repeat something over and over again, that repetition itself gives me joy. The example we had seen was going to a gym. All these four things we saw for that example. Now Vedanta came in and asked some questions, right? The first question was, these sources of joy that you are holding on to, Vedanta asked us, are they independent or dependent? Meaning, do I need some object to be happy, or is it able to give me joy independently? I say, no, I always need that object. Without that object, I cannot be happy. Okay. Although it gives me happiness, we don't deny that right now. So that is the first thing. So it is a dependent source of joy. Second was, is it there all the time, or is there some discontinuity in happiness? Which is clearly there is discontinuity. I either need to jump onto some other object or either come back to it after some time. It is not an eternal source of joy. And third was, does that object also become a source of sorrow? Or does it always remain a source of happiness? We say no. It all, becomes a source of sorrow at some time or the other. These things we should dwell on more. I'm just mentioning it quickly. One type of mananam is to get conviction in this thinking. These thoughts have been picked up from several places, several Mahatmas. They have arrived at this conclusion after several years of thinking. If we can align our thought with this, Drigdrishya Viveka, the purpose will become very clear and I'll be able to benefit more from this teaching. So now the student asked the teacher back again, teacher, you asked me these three questions, through Vedanta you said these three questions you asked. So now you tell me, is there any joy? Is there any source of happiness which is not dependent, which is independent source of happiness? Is there any source of happiness which is eternal? And is there any source which always remains a source of happiness and never becomes sorrowful? That is when the teacher says, that is you. That is Sakshi. The illuminator of my thought is that happiness which I'm looking for. Now the student looks behind. Are you talking about me? I see I'm nowhere close. Whatever things you told about this eternal happiness, unconditioned happiness, you don't know my story. So the student is, he questions with lot of faith. That is when the teacher begins the teaching of Drigdrishya Viveka. Means he says there is some mix-up happening between this witness, which is my own true nature, and mind, sense organs, body, and so on, everything else which is other than this pure consciousness, there is a mix-up happening. Okay, so that is where we were in the last class. Now, this text, if you see the commentary by Pujya Guruji, Guruji has mentioned there that there are several views about who is the author of this text. Their thought is so elevated that they don't even bother to leave a signature on their work. Who has written this? So some people say it is Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya ji, but many of them say it is Swami Vidyaranya ji. And as I was reading about Swami Vidyaranya ji, I came across an article by Pujya Gurudev on Swami Vidyaranya ji, and in our CIF website. This was the first time I had seen it. Very interesting. And it said Gurudev was planning to write a commentary on Panchadashi. That is what that article said. And Pujya Gurudev very elaborately gives the introduction to Swami Vidyaranya ji's, glory of how great of a saint he was. And Vidyaranya ji was the eldest of the three brothers. Other two were also equally great as him. One of the brother, his name was Sayanacharya. Sayanacharya was the one who has written commentaries on all Vedas, not Vedanta. All the four Vedas, it is said, there is a Sayana Bhashya which is available. So for example, if you want to study Bhashya means, commentary on Rudram, the authentic source that is pointed out is Sayana Bhashya. And the other brother was Bharati Krishna Tirtha Swamiji, who was the Shankaracharya of Shrangeri Peetha. So it is said Vidyaranya Swamiji, although he was elder to the other two brothers, he took, guidance and also sannyasa from Bharati Krishna Swamiji. And Vidyaranya Swamiji also became the Shankaracharya of Shrangeri Peetham. So it is from that lineage this teaching has been coming down. And the greatness of Vidyaranya Swamiji is he was very involved in the society. What I mean by that is he was one of the instrumental cause for bringing up this empire of Vijayanagara. So there is a long story that goes, I'll just in brief mention that there were two brothers, Harihara and Bukka. So during the Mughal rule, they were going towards south, trying to, escape from this, rule of Mughals and trying to challenge them back and getting their kingdom back and establishing the, Swarajya in that place. So both of them, while they were on their journey south, they meet an ascetic who is sitting there shining with brilliance. That was Swami Vidyaranyaji. So they come to Vidyaranyaji and seek his guidance, seek his help, and then he takes them inside. Inside meaning in his cave in which he was meditating, and there he gives them a lot of guidance on how to build the empire. Okay, so the kings also had a lot of reverence for Vidyaranya Swamiji, and he became an advisor, it is said, in the court of Vijayanagara. Another interesting thing about Vidyaranya Swamiji is, it is said he had done Gayatri Upasana. Gayatri Upasana is, you do 24 lakh times Parayanam of Gayatri Mantra. Purascharana it is called. And several other, his tapas was so strong, so powerful, that his intellect was unfathomable. If you look at the work that Vidyaranya Swamiji has done, you just wonder how could one person do so much of thinking. He has written texts on astronomy, astrology, music, and so many other sciences, and of course, not to forget Advaita Vedanta. In Advaita Vedanta, Vidyaranya Swamiji has written the most famous one, that is attributed to Vidyaranya Swamiji is Panchadashi. So you will see a lot of similarity between the thought process of Panchadashi and this particular text, Drigdrishya Viveka. He has also written commentaries, Deepikas, on 6 different Upanishads. And there are, schools of thought called Darshanas. He has written one text called Sarva Darshana Sangraha. Means the summary of all different schools of thoughts, darshanas. And in that there is one special darshana called as Charvak. Charvak means materialist. Even that Vidyaranya Swamiji quotes, what is their thinking. I don't know whether we need or not that quotations, but that was his depth of knowledge. He just knew everything mostly from this the literature field. He has also written one text called as Jivan Mukti Viveka. The bliss of a Jivan Mukta. What is this? What are the essential aspects to be a liberated Purusha? How to be Jivan Mukta, or what is the expression of a Jivan Mukta? So there is one text on that also. Why am I saying all this? It is just to see or recognize the greatness of the author. If this author is giving us Drigdrishya Viveka, that means there is something worth thinking about it. Okay, that was the whole purpose. Now, the text is called Drigdrishya Viveka, right? So at least we should know what each term means. And I'll be using these terms interchangeably, so please make a note of it. The word drug, in its primary meaning, is referring to consciousness. Okay, drug, drishya, viveka, the first word, drug, refers to consciousness. Sakshi is another word for the same thing. Atman, or the seer. Okay, all these are same words because I'll be using interchangeably sometimes. That's why I mentioned all of them. Now, secondarily, there are some other seers within us only. There is eyes. There are eyes which have ability to see. There is, the sense organs. They have ability, just like the eyes. Mind also has ability to see. So they are also secondarily called as seers. But the primary seer is consciousness. To reach there, Vidyaranya Swamiji will take us step by step. Okay, first he will start with eyes, then he will go to mind, and then he will go to consciousness. Drishya, drug, okay, first word was drug, second word is drishya. Drishya means everything that is seen. One seeing is the world outside. We see names, we see forms. But he says, Vidyananda Swamiji says, come inside. Even the organs, ability of the organs are also seen, and mind is also seen. Okay, drishya. If we are able to take one thing away from this text, that is this point. Mind is drishya. Mind is seen. How it is seen, he will elaborate. We don't have to worry about it. But this is the fundamental essence of this text. Drug, drishya, viveka. Okay. So, viveka, that is the last word. Viveka, if you literally mean, it means separation. Two things are mixed up. I separate them. It is called viveka. But here, we will take a little deeper meaning. It is enquiry. Okay. Instead of saying just merely separating, we are also going to inquire into the nature of drishya and nature of drashta. Okay, so that is drug, drishya, viveka. Drug, I said, has many similar connotations. You call it drashta, you call it sakshi, atman, seer. All these names are referring to the same consciousness, primarily. But secondarily, mind, sense organs, they are also called as seers. Okay, so we should not get confused what it is. Drishya also, I explained what it is. And viveka means enquiry or separation between both of these things. Now we should think about why is or where is this separation needed? Okay. Where is viveka needed? Let us say I have this book. I hope all of you also have this book. Okay. And I have this phone. Now I don't need to do viveka between book and a phone. Why is that? Because they never appear to be mixed up. I can distinctly see the phone and I can distinctly see the book. So there is no need for me to do viveka, no need for me to do separation. Now it is morning time, right? Right after the class or before the class, you must have had some tea or something. In that you must have put some brown sugar. Now let us say in that brown sugar, some sand is mixed, which is of the same color. Now when two different things which look alike get mixed up, that is when I need separation. Okay, these two things, they never got mixed up, so I don't need to separate them. Phone is distinct and book is distinct. But if brown sugar and sand, both of that gets mixed up, then I need separation. My transaction with that mixed up entity will cause me a lot of sorrow. Okay. Another example is, you must have eaten that green bean sabzi. Green beans when you chop it. In that, let us say, green chilies get mixed up. Both look alike. Okay. And in that mixed up thing, you need viveka. Means you need to separate green beans from green chilies so that I know what is what. So where is viveka needed? Viveka is needed there where two distinct things appear together because they look alike. They are separate two things, but they are now appearing together. Okay, that is where Viveka is needed. And here, what is happening now? Pure consciousness, Sakshi. I don't know whether to call it green chili or green beans. Pure Sakshi, pure consciousness, Sakshi, and this Drishya, okay, mind, body, the world outside, all of that is getting mixed up. Primary mix up is happening with the mind. Okay, just like two separate things are getting mixed up, pure consciousness and mind are getting mixed up. That is where is the importance of Drug, Drishya, Viveka. Now somebody says, why do you need to do it? Just leave it. Let it be mixed up. What is there? We saw in the world also, if two things are mixed up, our transaction with that thing will be erroneous. You can't put that brown sugar plus sand in your tea. Right? Two things are mixed up. Our transaction will be erroneous if we don't know that they are mixed up. Green chilies and green beans, we cannot eat it just together. In the same way, if we don't inquire into this mix-up which is happening inside, then our transaction with ourselves, our understanding of ourselves will be erroneous. Sometimes we wonder, we say Drug, Drishya, Viveka is a very subtle text. It requires lot of thinking, lot of subtlety. You know what makes it more subtle? If this Viveka, if this mix-up is happening outside, it is very easy for us to inquire. How simple that example was, right? Green chili, green beans, we understand that. Brown sugar, sand, we understand. Why? Because that mix-up is happening outside and I am familiar with it. When it happens inside meaning within my mind and consciousness, it requires me to shift my attention there. That is the subtlety. When it comes to me, if my attention is outside too much, I won't be able to do this inquiry within. Okay, so that is what makes this inquiry a little subtler, but it's a great joy. Once I get to know, I get a hold of this line of thinking, I don't have to struggle too much. It will be very effortless. Okay, so I think that much introduction is good. We saw, what is a prayojanam. That we should never forget. That, unquestioned pursuit that we all have is for happiness. And this inquiry will lead me towards that. Nature of Sakshi is joy, is happiness. So with that, invoking the grace and blessings of Bhagavan and Vidyaranya Swamiji and our Puja Guruji, who has written a commentary on this text, and all our teachers, we will chant the first shloka of Drug, Drishya, Viveka. Those of you who have the book, the physical copy, it is on page number 1. I will chant each quarter once. You can repeat after me, and then we'll chant the whole shloka together. Rupam drishyam lochanam druke. Rupam drishyam lochanam druke. Tadrishyam draktumanasam. Tadrishyam draktumanasam. Drishyadhi vrittaya sakshi. Drishyadhi vrittaya sakshi. Druge vanatu drishyate. Druge vanatu drishyate. Rupam drishyam lochanam druke. Tadrishyam draktumanasam. Drishyadhi vrittaya sakshi. Druge vanatu drishyate. The literal meaning we'll see once. Rupam drishyam. Rupam, as of now, let us keep as names and forms. Okay, all the color and everything that I see outside, the shape, size, they are called Rupa. All these Rupa is Drishyam. It is seen. Seen by whom? Lochanam druka. Eyes are the seer. Tad drishyam. Tat means what? Referring to eyes. One note of caution here, when it says eye, what it's referring to is the ability to see, not the physical eye. This is where our understanding from Tattva Bodha will help us. When we say Jnanendriya, the Chakshu Jnanendriya which is there, that is what is referred by Lochanam, not the physical eye. Vidyananda Swamiji himself will elaborate on each of these points, what he means by seeing, what he means by Rupam. The next few shlokas, second, third and fourth, will elaborate this particular verse. Okay, so just make that note of that point. When it says Lochanam Druka, Lochanam is referring to the subtle organ of seeing. The physical eye is manifest, it is gross physical eye. But there is something called as ability to see. That is what is being referred as Lochanam over here. So first was names and forms are seen, then eyes are the seer, Lochanam Druk. This is the first pair, okay? One seen and another seer. Tad drishyam draktu manasam. Eyes are seen and mind is the seer. Eyes are seen meaning what? All the, sharpness of this eye, dullness of, ability to see, all of that is known by the mind. Tad drishyam draktu manasam. Drishyaha dhivruttayaha. Now this is the main part of Drigdrishya Viveka. Thoughts are known to me. Thought of, in this case, it is the thought of my eye is very sharp. My ability to see is, going down. If I take out my glasses, I'm not able to see that clearly. It's a thought. That thought is known to me. Drishyaha dhivruttayaha sakshi. Who is knowing it? Sakshi. Absolute seer. The fundamental meaning of the word drashta, that sakshi is knowing it. Does that sakshi also have another seer? No. That last quarter says that sakshi is drukeva. It only is this illuminator. Natu drishyate. It never becomes seen. Not that it is not there. Our general idea is what is not seen is not there. But this line of thinking, this thought process tells us sakshi is that which sees, but it never becomes an object of knowledge, never becomes seen. So this was just the literal meaning. We'll go very slowly in this particular shlokas, especially 1, 2, 3. These, or rather 4, until shloka number 4. It is elaboration of the first shloka. Okay, Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Druka Tad Drishyam Draktu Manasam Drishyaha Dhivruttayaha Sakshi Drugeva Natu Drishyate. So we'll pause here. We just saw the first shloka. Next class we will look at how this each quarter is unfolding itself. And best part of Drigdrishya Viveka is you don't need too many props. You don't need a PowerPoint because everything is right here, right? You have a drishya. We'll take this phone as our drishya. You have the seer, which is the eye. Mind is also right here. More to talk about Sakshi. It is always with me. So we will see how this shloka we can dwell more on in the next class. Guruji has very nicely given certain rules for thinking. He writes down certain rules. So each rule we will take and see how we can apply it to these different pairs of seer and seen. Okay, so we'll pause here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. One more thing I wanted to say. This text, you will have a lot of questions. Okay, so, and you should have a lot of questions. That means we all are thinking. For the first few sessions, you note all the questions down. Don't let go of any question. Make sure that you note all the questions, and wait until we have covered certain portion of the text, and see if they are getting answered. If you want, you can also submit it in that link. Jignesh Bhai and Vishwanath ji showed the other day. If you go to that cmsj.org, we have the everyday classes. There is a link to submit questions. But first, we should do thorough Shravanam. Listen carefully to what is being said, think over it, and again, if you have questions, then definitely you should ask, and we can discuss collectively. We can reflect on that. Okay, so don't hesitate to ask. Make sure you write down all the questions, and we'll take it on from there. Hari Om.